So exactly a week ago, I competed at the IBJJF World Masters Tournament. If you're interested to hear how it went and some things I learned, keep watching this video. If not, keep moving on. So I had never competed in an IBJJF tournament before, and I've only once, I think, competed in a tournament that used points similar to IBJJF, and that was when I was a blue belt, so it was quite some time ago. And I have to say, it's a lot different. It didn't go great. My first opponent didn't show up, and I was pretty sure I would have done well against him. And instead, I got pushed to the second round against the number one seed, who is a very good wrestler. And he took me down in the first 20 or so seconds, and then the match kind of stalled out from there. He never tried to submit me, didn't really try to pass my guard. He got his 2 points, and he hung out. Now, I could get mad about that, and I did get mad about that for a little while. But the truth is, that's how that game is played. Many of the matches I watched that weekend, people would get their first 2 points, and then they would hold on. And I knew that going in. I've watched IBJJF tournaments. I've seen the way those guys play that game. It's how it works. And you have to respect the rule set you sign up for. I have watched people in submission-only tournaments complain that there weren't points because they were dominant the whole time, but nothing happened. I've watched people in EBI rules complain that people stalled out to make it to the overtime, and I certainly was guilty for a few minutes of complaining about IBJJF points. But you got to respect the rule set you sign up for. It was your choice to sign up under that rule set. It's your obligation to learn how to play the game given the parameters that are set up for you. And I just didn't do it. I didn't practice as someone who was trying to get points or force the pace. I've always refused kind of to pull guard. And knowing I was going up against a good wrestler, that's a really poor decision. I've refused to pull guard because inside of a context of self-defense or mixed martial arts, pulling guard is usually a really bad idea. But this isn't self-defense or mixed martial arts. It is IBJJF, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, that has points. And let's be honest about self-defense and MMA. If you're not pursuing MMA, well, you don't even have to think about it anymore. And in self-defense, once you're a blue belt or a purple belt, depending on your size and strength, you probably don't need much more self-defense knowledge. If you find yourself in a situation in which you need it, I'm certain you can get on top of somebody and strangle them if you are a purple belt or above. And you are likely to end up on the ground on your back if you didn't see it coming. So having a very good bottom game is a good idea. It is kind of silly to think that you should be thinking about self-defense all the way through your jiu-jitsu journey. That doesn't mean you have to care about points and IBJJF stuff. You might then just start trying to do fancy things, or you might then try and play a heel hook game. Whatever it is, at some point you can lose the threat of self-defense a little bit and still get really, really good at jiu-jitsu and be able to defend yourself if necessary. Anyway, all that is to say, I never really learned how to pull guard. I'm not very good at it, and that's silly because I'm a tall man with long legs and a pretty decent X guard and a pretty decent close guard. And against typical jiu-jitsu people who don't have a wrestling background, I can trust my takedowns. Against someone who wrestled in college, maybe I should concede that they can take me down. And pulling guard is the best thing I can do. We got to respect the places we're in and the parameters we're given. And the way that people are going to play the game, you know. Keeping with the cliches of you either win or you learn. First of all, I lost. You don't just win or learn. You learn in your losses and you learn in your wins. But we like to tell ourselves we learn more in our losses so that we can feel better about them. But I learned a couple things. One is 5 minutes is not very long. So if you're down 2 points, you need to hustle. I kind of waited till about the 2.5 minute mark to really open up. And that just wasn't enough time to get anything done. The other thing I learned is Vegas is not for me. I'll go back for tournaments. I'll go back if someone has a party that I need to go to in Vegas, or a vacation that I'm forced to go on. But expensive resorts, showgirls who call me a nerd, they're not for me. And also being away from Malachi and Elena to go lose something is pretty hard. That's the other thing I learned. I am excited to do more IBJJF tournaments. I figure at this point I should learn how to play this version of the game for myself, and so I can pass it along to my students. And we'll see what happens next time. Maybe I'll do something that's not a world tournament with very experienced people in this rule set, and see if I can get a little closer to that gold medal, and then come back next year for Worlds.